When it comes to the Halloween franchise, and I'm thinking about the worst entries in the series, maybe this isn't the worst one. Maybe there are worst Halloween movies out there, but that does not give this movie an excuse for why it exists, for why it was rushed, for why it was made the way that it was. I'm talking about Halloween, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This movie came out just 1 year after Part 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And the fact that Part 4 was successful and that it worked and that people liked it and that it's still a decent enough movie years later is an anomaly. It's a surprise. It's something that never really should have happened. The original idea of Michael Myers and how he was supposed to die at the end of Halloween 2, and that the sequels after that were supposed to be standalone, one off stories. I think Halloween 3 is a good horror film and is underrated, and people don't give it enough of a chance. But that doesn't matter now because they brought Michael back. Part 4 was what it was, and then you had to continue. I don't know if you necessarily had to do it so soon. You could have maybe taken some time to write a script that made sense. But the beginning of this movie, you see Michael Myers. He gets shot up by the cops, like what happened at the end of Part 4. But instead of what we thought him blowing up and seemingly just being destroyed, he fell down a river and falls into a coma, I guess, because he gets washed up and found by some hermit, and the hermit takes care of him. Why? Because I guess he has nothing better to do. And 1 year passes by, so I guess they're sticking to the correct timeline of the present day. And 1 year later, it just so happens to be Halloween once again when Michael Myers decides to wake up. I don't know if this is supposed to be some supernatural, spiritual connection to the holiday. Like maybe he just his brain shuts off, his body shuts down until it's Halloween, and then he reawakens. Evil is unleashed. They don't flat out say that, but that's definitely the impression that we're given. He wakes up, he kills the hermit guy, which is sort of weird. I know Michael is a killing machine. I know he does not have remorse and doesn't really care about people or doesn't have human emotion at all. But it seems odd that here's a guy who's been taking care of him and I assume has been feeding him water and food, unless you're telling me that the evil inside of him allows him not to have to eat or drink water. So he kills this guy, and we meet Jamie. Jamie, who is played by Danielle Harris. Poor Danielle Harris. Jamie in the fourth movie, she is the daughter of Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, who her character apparently was killed in a car accident. How lazy. So Michael, I guess telepathically, was aware that he had a niece and that there was somebody left in his family that he had to kill, so that's why he was chasing her. Well, where we left off with Jamie was at the end of the last movie. After Michael was seemingly killed, she snapped. Jamie went crazy, grabbed a pair of scissors, and killed her stepmother or foster mother. And I thought this was amazing. This was a hell of a cliffhanger. This was bold. This was daring. And this was completely shocking. And I could not wait to see what would happen next with her character. And this is what happens. You see her in a hospital, and she's now a mute. She does not talk. She's very weird and awkward now. And what I mean by that is that Danielle Harris showed at her young age in the last movie that she could act and that she was believable. in these situations. But having an actress, a little girl, do this isn't it doesn't work. She obviously doesn't really know what's going on or what, because her scenes of her waking up at night and screaming but she's not making noise, it just comes off as silly and goofy, and it was not the right direction to make with her character. You have scenes of her being telepathically connected. She has a link with Michael where she can see what Michael sees. She knows where he is. And this is just all dumb to me. It is. I know sometimes twins, brother and sisters, they somehow share the same thoughts and whatnot. So this is obviously a takeoff of that. But this is too much. This is too unbelievable for me to be able to buy or care, or maybe if everything else in the movie was better, I would have less of a problem with this. But still, I think it's dumb. Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance, who I think is a great actor. Obviously, he's an anchor of these films by this point. Him in these scenes, I get that he's desperate. I get that he's hell bent on trying to catch Michael, and he wants nothing more to kill this guy for good or lock him away or whatever he plans on doing. But him yelling at Jamie, him grabbing her and shaking her and just all in her face and saying, "You gotta tell me where he is. You gotta tell me what you know. You gotta tell me, talk." It's hard to watch. Loomis is a character that you love in the original film and in these sequels. So to see him at this point where he's kind of abusing a child, it's not what you want to see from this guy. It's just weird. It's very weird. Then Rachel. Let's talk about Rachel for a second, shall we? Because she is a foster sister of Jamie. She's somebody who doesn't even have to really be here for her anymore. I always thought that the foster mother was murdered, but I guess not. They mentioned that she's still alive. Yeah, it's not a surprise that they're not at the hospital. But the fact that Rachel is and that she's still caring, she's still trying to be there for her, she's still being supportive, that's saying a lot. That's a huge thing for her character. It makes her even more likable than she already was in the fourth movie. And Rachel was a big part of that fourth movie, a big main character, somebody who protected Jamie through everything. She had that a-hole cheating boyfriend that she overcame, and just you were rooting for her. So this movie, her getting killed off so quickly, so easily, is beyond frustrating. It's annoying. Even the actress in a documentary talking about the history and the behind the scenes of every Halloween movie, she talked about how she read this script and thought, wow, I die that early on. And originally, apparently, she was supposed to get scissors jammed down her throat and the most violent death ever. And luckily, she spoke up about that and said that's not happening. And she was also supposed to be naked, but she was able to talk them into letting her wear a robe. How nice of the producers and director. But she should have fought harder. She should have said, I won't do it unless you keep me alive. Obviously, they probably would have just recast her, or they would have written her character out. I understand that. She probably just went along with it for the payday, but it just sucks. It does. How do you not, as a writer, watching the last movie, how do you not have the foresight or just the whereabouts to know that the fans really connected to her character and didn't want to see her get killed off, especially like this? But Jamie is still a little kid, so we need an older figure to be that protector. So we get introduced to Rachel's friend, Tina. Yay! Tina is quite possibly the most annoying character that's ever been in a Halloween movie. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe there is one or two more annoying people. If you can think of them, write them in the comments below. I'm sure they're there. But when I rewatch this, when I watch her scenes, this actress her voice, her whiny voice is so pain inducing. My ears bleed just listening to her talk and whine and just, oy vey, get rid of her. I cannot believe that they kept her alive as long as they did because she's unbearable. She is. You see Michael Myers kill Tina's boyfriend. He kills him with a rake to the head, which I always like. Sure, fine. It's creative, but the way how it's shot, it comes off a little goofy. The actor who plays the boyfriend, his facial expressions, I never quite found this funny. Maybe it didn't help that it took place in broad daylight, and sometimes it's effective, but other times it just looks weird that nobody else saw this big, huge, hulking guy coming over with this weapon and killing people left and right. You get a scene where Michael obviously steals the boyfriend's car. He steals the boyfriend's Halloween costume, his mask, and he pretends to be Tina's boyfriend. Now, I don't understand why Michael does this. It's not explained. Obviously, Michael doesn't talk. He doesn't have a best friend that he goes to or calls on the phone and says, hey, guess what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to pretend to be this girl's boyfriend and try to get laid. That probably would have been a better movie, and I would have enjoyed it more there. Michael Myers trying to get laid. But that must be what he's doing, right? Why else is he getting in this car, wearing this mask that's not his? He knows where Tina lives, picks her up, and drives her around. She orders him to take her to the store or take her to the gas station or take her here and take her there. And it's obviously, I guess, supposed to create tension and supposed to make us think, oh no, Tina could die at any minute. She's in the car with a dangerous person and she's vulnerable and blah, blah, blah. But all it is just we're watching and we're waiting and we're praying that Michael kills her, and he never does. Why? Even if Michael wanted to get laid, Tina's annoying attitude would be enough to snap him out of his horniness and pent up aggressionness, and he would just take her right then and there, snap her neck. Who knows? Jamie finally speaks. Look at that. After being a mute for all of this time at the hospital, she finally talks and she finally tells Loomis where Michael is. So him and the sheriff and these cops are going after Michael. You meet this character, Billy, who obviously, I guess, likes Jamie. He's wanting to be around her, wanting to help her, even when she goes to leave the house that she's at. He leaves with her, and I like this Billy kid. He means well. He has a stutter, so obviously I feel bad for the dude. He's just trying to make Jamie like him in any way possible. You find this couple who were friends of Tina because Tina is the coolest person ever, right? Let's now just follow her friends just because. They're having sex in a barn because that's what you do. You find a dirty old barn and have sex in it. I'm not saying that, it's beneath me to have sex in a dirty area just because you want to, but for some reason characters in horror movies come off looking pathetic when they do something like this. And hey, maybe we do too in real life. Michael shows up and kills them, thankfully. You find yourself rooting for Michael to kill these kids over and over. He also kills a couple cops. And then Michael, hallelujah, thank the Lord, he kills Tina after she tries to protect Jamie and Billy. She's protecting the kids, so I know she's supposed to have a noble death. I know I'm supposed to feel bad and cry and wah, wah, but no, I don't. I cheer, I hoot, I holler every time I see Michael stab Tina. Maybe this would have been more impactful if Tina died earlier and if this was Rachel. If Rachel was the one who was in this movie throughout it and then died at this point. But either way, I still don't think Rachel should have died. Tina's death didn't come soon enough. Loomis, who the ever so likable Loomis in this movie, uses Jamie as a bait, as a trap to lure Michael to his childhood home. This should feel like a bigger deal. We're going back to the scene of the crime. We're going back to a place that means so much to Michael and has some meaning to him, but it doesn't. It's just another house. You literally could have just made this a random abandoned house and it wouldn't have made a difference. Michael attacks Loomis in a way that just makes Loomis and these cops feel so incompetent and feel like they have no idea what they're doing. It's not that they're doing so well and Michael's so unstoppable. No, it's that they're so dumb and Michael is just able to scoot over by them. He chases Jamie throughout the house. There's even a point where she goes in the laundry vent and he tries to stab her through the vents. I guess that's a decent scene, and that's me being positive. I should probably mention Michael's mask. How have I gone this long without mentioning how horrible Michael Myers' mask is? Look, I know that it's hard for them to recreate, for some reason, I guess. It's hard for them to recreate that original mask. Something happened to it, it got worn out, and they've never just been able to do it. They've never been able to duplicate it. It's never quite looked right. Even part 4, the mask looked really weird. But at least you could argue that that mask was taken from a store, and so it's not supposed to look exactly accurate. It still looks goofy, though, and still doesn't look as scary. This one just, the face is too thin and too skinny. It just doesn't even look like, it makes it more obvious that's not the same actor playing Michael, although we know that it's a different actor every single movie playing Michael. And the hair. I've always had a problem with Michael's hair, or at least the mask hair, and how it's slicked back. It looks odd. If Michael is really running around or walking around, because he doesn't run, I guess, and he's going around outside and killing people and having struggles and maybe falling on the ground or in the dirt, wouldn't his hair be more all over the place? Why is it so brushed back, so pulled back? It's like every kill, Michael runs to a mirror and puts gel in his fake masked hair and fixes it because he wants to look nice on Halloween. That's the only explanation for why the hair looks the way that it does. I know I'm harping on his mask, but this is Michael freaking Myers. This is our main villain, our main serial killer, our main antagonist. He's supposed to look scary. This should be very important in how the character looks. So you see Loomis, he traps Michael with a net and he shoots him with a tranquilizer gun a bunch of times. He starts hitting him with like a 2x4, and I guess he knocks Michael out, I guess. It just seems so weird because Loomis, I don't know if he just has a heart attack or a stroke or what, because he just collapses and falls on Michael, and then that's really it. He gets caught. How anticlimactic. And then probably the goofiest scene, I don't know how I didn't mention it, when Michael was chasing Jamie and they wound up in the attic. There's a moment where Jamie, she sees all the dead bodies. She sees Rachel's dead body, and then she somehow talks to Michael, calms him down, and Michael takes his mask off, and you kind of sort of see his face, but not really. And there's a moment where Michael cries. A single tear comes down Michael Myers' face, and holy Jesus, this is so horrible. This is so terrible. I don't know if the writers are to blame, if the director is to blame, if he had this idea on the set of like, hey, let's show Michael Myers' human side, that there is a human behind this body and he's not in control of what he's doing. I get the idea. Some people might like the idea that there's a human that's upset and crying over what he's doing and he can't control himself, and then when Jamie tries to to comfort him. He gets angry and puts the mask back on and goes back to trying to kill her. But I just, no. I don't like the supernatural aspect of Michael Myers. I don't like seeing him cry. I think it makes him look like a little bitch. And I don't care if he has any humanity. Because if he is just a guy, if he is just a human, then he's a sick fuck. And he does not care, and he does not have any emotions. And if you're trying to tell me that it is a supernatural force controlling him, then that's where you take any intrigue and mystery in the Michael Myers character. It's completely gone. Let's mention Michael Myers sitting in a jail cell, because that's something I never, ever wanted to see. Michael handcuffed and shackled and just sitting there with his head down in a jail cell. Just silly. Where are the producers? Where are the people who have been making these movies for over a decade at this point, and you still don't know how to handle this character? You still don't know how to make him scary. Putting him in a jail cell is not the way to do it. It really isn't. And then we see the Man in Black. We have been seeing shots and scenes of the Man in Black throughout this whole movie. Randomly, him coming out of a bus, he arrives to Haddonfield, and he's walking around, and you get several shots of him walking around. And you see his boots. So for years, I would call him Boots, because that's all you saw. But this guy arrives at the police station because I guess he has a walkie-talkie, he has a police scanner, he somehow knows that Michael Myers was just arrested. Maybe word got out, and maybe the talk on the street is that Michael Myers has been caught, because he goes there and he kills all of the cops, which is, wow. I talked about how dumb and how lazy, how incompetent these cops looked. Well, seeing them all get decimated, we don't even see it. We just see the aftermath of it. Seeing them all killed, laid out, just pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And then Jamie goes in there and she sees that Michael has escaped, that he's not in his cell anymore, that I guess a bomb went off and helped get Michael out. And, oh... The cliffhanger of part 4 was so intriguing and so thought-provoking, such a conversation starter on where to go next. This cliffhanger is a no. And that's exactly what Jamie says. Jamie literally is saying no over and over again. I think that was Danielle Harris just improvising and saying, no, I can't come back. I can't do another movie. No. Not again. And I don't blame her. She didn't come back to this franchise. This is appalling. This is painful to watch. This is hard to watch. This movie is an abomination. It's, in my opinion, the first worst Halloween movie of the series. It's the first sign that these films aren't as good as they can be, that they do have flaws, or that if you have the wrong people behind them, that a bad movie can and will be made. I'm so upset because I personally have so many ideas that we could have done with the Jamie character, that we could have done with the Rachel character, the Sam Loomis character, what we could have done with Michael Myers without having to have any explanation about the evil or the Man in Black and that reveal that's to come. Holy crap. So guys, this movie sucks. I hate it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Do you agree that it sucks, or are you a defender? And if you are, please tell me why and what you like about this. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.